Okay, what's up, everybody? Time for another game theory answering questions sort of video. If you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel. If you want, appreciate thanks. Okay, I'm not going to do the whole penis joke because I'm getting tired of the penis joke now, okay? So, not going to do the whole pee-pee joke. Okay, so to answer, I can't even tell if some of these questions are real. I feel like the discrepancy when I read some of these comments is you just don't like the fucking answer, okay? So I said before, and I already played devil's advocate. So how about this? I'm going to start this off with, and I think this is going to hurt people's brains. You do realize in the 1990s, I know it seems like a lifetime ago. It seems like a lifetime to me. Trust me. It was a long time ago, okay? In the 1990s, though, it wasn't like the 1990s was the Stone Age, okay? We had things called books. We actually read back in the day. We had paper that we read, and there were things like magazines. And when we're talking about magazines, it's funny. You go to the grocery store nowadays, and the magazine rack is so small because people just don't read anymore. But a magazine rack back when you were a kid in the 1990s, huge. You had a whole aisle, and you had things not like EGM, Game Fan, Game Pro. EGM2, I think there was like tips and tricks. There was tons of video game magazines, okay? People did read. Okay, so there's this idea when I'm talking about this being intuitive and unintuitive, right? So this guy tried to use this example, which I've already proved you wrong, but we're going to show you how retarded you are again because you don't. The discrepancy is I don't like Clayton. I'm going to say he's wrong here. So this guy was trying to say something along the lines of that that games were not intuitive back in the day because how would you know that Ryu in Championship Edition, when he did his hurricane kick now, it was invincible on startup and it was invincible when he landed? That makes no sense, the guy said. And he said that no one would have ever figured that out, apparently, because it's not like the internet is around. We only know stuff because of the internet, blah, 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 blah. So you can't say the games are unintuitive nowadays because that is very unintuitive that Ryu had a hurricane kick when he's spinning and he's invincible. No one would have ever realized that. Are you retarded? Okay, this is already, but first of all, I already answered this. We're going to get into the Ryu hurricane kick in a second. But I've already answered this and I generalized it. Listen, Street Fighter 6, what does that mean? That means that Street Fighter 6 is a series that was based foundationally, at least upon something else in the past, i.e. Street Fighter 2, okay? Where did we get this idea of what a hurricane kick is, what a dragon punch is, what a fireball is? Street Fighter 2 is the foundation, okay? We are basing our knowledge off of the fundamental fact of what started it all. This is like saying that, say, I'm not religious, but let's say, there's some quote in the Bible, I think like, let there be light. Let there be light. Let there be light, motherfucker. And that's like you saying after the fact, it's 2024 right now. Well, why do we have to call it light? Why can't light be non-binary? We don't have to call it light because we've always called it that, okay? Well, okay, you're a caveman. Oh, you just made fire. Oh, it's 2001. Why do we have to call it fire? Because we've always called it fire, okay? So when you're talking about something is unintuitive or intuitive, well, Street Fighter 6 is at least somewhat based on Street Fighter 2. It's the starting point. This is where we start off at. This is where all fighting games afterwards are based on. We have to appreciate where we started, okay? Right? So, of course, this is why this whole unintuitive versus intuitive versus unintuitive. Yes, it actually is intuitive because back in the day, that's what all this stuff is based off on. Okay, and so the argument about Ryu and no one would have ever known, we only know this stuff because of the internet and bullshit like this. It's not intuitive. Well, first of all, this is also retarded logic because guess what? What was I saying about books before? You know what? Before the internet existed and all this stuff, guess what? If you didn't like Game Pro, you could have read EGM. If you didn't like EGM, you could have read Game Fan. Where the fuck it is? All these different kind of EGM2. Where the fuck it is? Tips and tricks was after that, whatever it is. Every fucking magazine Which you don't, but people don't want to believe, oh, fighting games are more popular than they ever were. You're retarded. You have no idea what the fuck you are talking about. Okay? Street Fighter 2 is not the most popular fighting game. It was it was the biggest fucking video game at the time. It was everywhere. You could go into any fucking store and you would look up a magazine and it would say, hey, Championship Edition came out. What is the new thing for this character? And it's like, oh, it would say Ryu's Hurricane Kick now is invincible when it starts up and invincible when he falls down. And then it would say something like, wow, dude, gnarly, his Hurricane Kick is invincible on startup and when he falls down. That means you can't be hit. Radical combo, dude. Oh, Ken, his Flaming Dragon Punch will now burn you up. It does 3 hits. Flame on, Flamer. You know what I mean? You know, we've actually, you didn't say Flame on, Flamer. Every fucking magazine, okay? You knew what it did because it would literally spell out, it was all in your face, just like the internet. People read back in the day. You fucking retard. Did you know, is this how delusional people are? Oh, you would have never done, it's so unintuitive that, oh, the game that starts off with, that all our foundational knowledge is based on, no one would have known that. This is what all our knowledge is based on. This is not just a fighting game. This is the biggest video game at all time. And everything said that. Now, if you want to say. No, it does not say, when you read all those old game pros, it does not say, it is +4 this, it is now invincible for the first 8 frames of startup. It is then becomes, the hitbox becomes this, then it becomes 10 frames invincible here, blah, blah, blah. No, it didn't fucking say that. But the general idea is, yes, it fucking said that. Everyone knows that. It's common knowledge because this is what we are learning from. If the caveman, let's call Street Fighter 2 the caveman makes fire, you don't go to the caveman and you be like, me not understand fire. Me not like how you make fire. Me say it not fire. Me say it water. You know what I mean? This is what we're basing it off of, you fucking retard. This is the kind of logic you guys are trying to use, okay? Yeah, people knew shit back in the day without the internet. Shocking, I know. No, we didn't talk in frames and all this kind of shit. But yes, you knew, okay? And also, to that argument as well. Again, you know, and people hate this. I remember people talking about this in Dragon Ball Z. Oh, I can't believe his duck hard punch slash whatever. It can hit from behind him, even though the character is flipping around. Now you have days, if we're talking about the Hurricane Kick again, wow, why is it that Ryu's Hurricane Kick has to be spaced so properly to actually hit you from behind? Even though his leg is spinning, it doesn't actually have a hitbox where it's spinning all the time? You're telling me Ryu's Hurricane Kick, what it is based on, wait, what? It is somehow more intuitive now than it is back in the day with the whole foundational knowledge of what we're even talking about? Are you retarded? I mean, come on. What the fuck are you talking about? That's why I'm like, I've already answered you. You just don't like the answer. You're too retarded to, well, are you kidding me? The discrepancy is you're mad I've done more than you in video games. Clayton, you know, he doesn't actually take these games seriously. Oh, God, you know, Clayton, he was a kid and he was, you know, after radiation on disability, he was beating all my heroes who were the top player and who are still top players today. Oh, God, gosh darn, he sucks. I just don't want to believe Clayton. Oh, yeah, Clayton, he's done more for tech and video games, you know, than anyone else in history, and you can actually easily prove that. But, oh, no, gosh darn, I want to say Desk is the best ever, even though Desk, you know, we give him credit for game fat combos, and he's actually never done anything. If you actually look at it, oh, blah, blah, blah. You know, okay, yes, I know I'm smarter than you. I know I'm not some fat nerd that has dedicated my life to video games. Yeah, deal with it. Okay? What the fuck? Ridiculous. So, yeah, and like I said, so besides all that, my God. So I'm talking more about this intuitive and unintuitive thing. And again, I don't want to make the pee-pee jokes too much because I'm already getting bored of it. Okay, I've said this many, many fucking times before. And I used this recent example in Street Fighter 6. We showed fucking Ryu's hop kick is not considered an air move for some reason. Yes, that's unintuitive. You know what I mean? Can you imagine saying that back in Street Fighter 2 days? Yeah, this move is spinning in the air, but we're going to say it's not actually in the air, even though, you know, it goes over lows because we've added this convoluted property where now your Dragon Punch actually only works if it's against an air move, and we kind of for no rhyme or reason are picking and choosing which move is a air move, illogically, seemingly. Excuse me. And that's why I said before, to get into this again, don't want to totally make the PP joke again because I'm getting bored. If this were to be the Street Fighter 6 PP, right? I've said before, Street Fighter 6 is unintuitive, and there's much more convoluted game mechanics. And of course, fighting games, one of the only ways that you can progress a game is through new mechanics. It's just that Street Fighter 6 is foundationally busted, and the mechanics, just at the end of the day, just aren't that good. But every game's got to be different, so it is what it is. But I've said before, Street Fighter 6, yes, to get to the GED zone up this not penis, right? It probably takes more than Street Fighter 2. Let's say this is Street Fighter 2, right? Because there is so much you have to do, you have to study for Street Fighter 6, because it is such a convoluted mess that is not intuitive. And I just fucking answered you. I already fucking answered you, right? You have to study because this plus this. This is minus this. This is plus this. This move only anti-airs, but you got to remember this move, it doesn't actually count as an air move. Blah, 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 blah. It's like, what? But then once you get your feet wet, so to speak, and you get to this GED zone, whatever it is, up the shaft, not a cock, right? It gets very messy, right? And that's why you have these people that are like, oh, it is so hard to win at games now. You know what I mean? Well, maybe it's because what actually makes you good when you're taking away execution, when you're taking away all these specific character interactions, there's less to distinguish you once you get to that, generalized knowledge. When you get to when you're trying to get to these upper levels, the things that used to distinguish you from other people, like you were better at execution, you had better reactions, whatever it might be, they just don't exist as much. The characters are more homogenized, so you don't even have this character-specific knowledge. If we're to talk about a game like Street Fighter 2, perhaps the GED level is lower, right? Perhaps the GED level is just generalized execution, right? Well, you can do this, you know what I mean? But a basic game plan, there's a lot of very powerful stuff in Street Fighter 2. Just simple, individualized mechanics, individual moves, let's say. I've talked about before. Why is the Vega example so disingenuous in Super Turbo? Because the Vega example is you have a character that does not take execution, and you have a character that what makes him good, generally speaking, right, is effective at all levels of the not penis. Okay? When you use, it's so Super Turbo is so scrubby because I can win with Vega at every level. I can get wins that I probably shouldn't at every level. You're picking an outlier of the cast. Now, that's not to say that Vega is a terrible character and he shouldn't be in the game, because every game has to be different. And I would actually argue that Vega is a good character for the game because it shows that the game has so many drastically different characters, different playstyles that are effective. Once you get to the GED zone of games like Super Turbo, these old school games that are more nuanced, guess what keeps you from actually getting to being better? All these other factors start coming in, these different character matchup specificness, right? Now you actually have to start studying. Now you actually have to start labbing more. The labbing comes before in Street Fighter 6, right? Not to say you never lab once you get better, but hopefully you know what I mean. Not to say you never lab when you first start off in Street Fighter 2, but to keep trickling up the not penis in old school games, guess what? You have to continually grind. You have to get that execution. There's chances of execution, right? Of course, you could fuck something up in Street Fighter 6, of course, as well. And of course, I've said how many times before, for a game like Street Fighter Alpha 2, why is a game like Street Fighter Alpha 2 so bad? Well, besides many examples, guess what? You have a homogenized mechanic that, guess what, is effective at every level. Your skill, now there are better custom combos, of course. Custom combos are effective at every level of the not penis. Okay? Custom combos are, quotation marks, always the best thing, are always a threat. Right? Quotation marks. There are sometimes when you super, but, for sake of argument, even if you are not doing a custom combo, If you have the meter to do a custom combo, you're still effective at every level because you have to appreciate it. It has that much of an influence on the not penis. Okay? Slimer. Slimer has a effect at every level of the not penis. It is a not well done homogenized mechanic. Not to the extent of custom combos, but an example, we'll show this right here. If we were to okay, one second. If you were to look at a game like this, again, an old school game, right? Guy's Hurricane Kick, a good move at every level, a busted move at low level, a completely busted move. But it just, once you get higher and higher into the game, you're like, oh, the move stays good, but isn't as busted, right? This is an example of the nuance that happens, you know, once you start getting better at old school games. So if we were to take Ryu here, right? Let's say he does that, right? Wait, what? You mean my Hurricane Kick, this busted move? Wait, let me do a different version. Wait, the different version loses too? Wait a second, let's see if we do. Okay, let's do this. Oh, what, I lost there? Oh, I lost there? Oh, I hit him there, timeout. I know that can actually, I'm trying to, oh, geez. Well, it can miss. Let's, there we go, right? Again, I'm trying to play two characters at once. Point is, once you actually play this game, right? And I've showed before, say a character like Ken, you start getting to these character-specific matchups where you're like, wow, characters actually, because of this balance in the chaos or whatever with moves, you have characters that also can counter these other powerful moves with moves that you might not think. Nor you might not think, why the fuck would Ryu's stand medium kick beat this broken invincible move? Because of the way that once you start studying at these different levels, you're like, whoa, now I'm actually seeing the nuance of the game. This is where this more of the skill, you're continuously leveling up in the game, right? You're finding different counters to these seemingly powerful things. Now, if this was a move like, say, in Street Fighter 6, well, fuck, you know, it'd be something like you'd do an EX Hurricane Kick in that situation. But guess what? The EX Hurricane Kick or the EX Dragon Punch, guess what? It would just be completely invincible. It wouldn't be nuanced in hitboxes. It would just say completely invincible from frame one to this, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? But if you have these old school games, you have these nuance of moves, right? Just like if you ever saw me play this game, you know, versus people who guess what? You start playing a guy player and, you know, a character that is a good character, even once you get up the not penis, right? You start seeing once you're getting up the not penis that the character, he actually has weaknesses that can be exploited once you understand the game better. Because you can use specific moves to counter his moves, right? The move is not just automatically, this move is invincible to all these type of moves, right? You know, that's an interesting thing about, you know, Super Turbo and these old school games, right? You have a character like Ryu, yeah, his Dragon Punch is the all-encompassing move. And these other characters that have Dragon Punches, they have certain weaknesses. A character like Balrog, right? Wow, his Dragon Punch is more invincible than Ryu. But guess what? It's one of the few Dragon Punches you can actually kind of safely fucking safe jump. It has examples. That's not to say that safe jumps don't exist in new games. You know what I mean? You know, even look at, God, is it in Street Fighter 6? You know, fuck, I might be wrong. Isn't even in Street Fighter 6 like Chun-Li's Dragon Punch is just down, down or some bullshit? And of course, if you just down, down, if it's 2 kicks or some shit like that, I might be wrong about this. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't remember if I tried Chun-Li in Street Fighter 6. I might be wrong about this. If I'm wrong, disregard what I'm saying. But I think I might be right. That's the difference between me and other people, right? I don't ever pretend to know something I don't. So that's why I say if I'm not sure, I'm not sure. I'm not sure about this, but if I recall correctly, isn't Chun-Li's Dragon Punch down, down? Maybe I'm thinking of like the Marvel games or something like that. But isn't it like down, down, it's completely invincible, and then if you use EX, it's completely invincible? But whatever the case, you still have instant access to this move, right? And guess what? It still is completely invincible from this frame to this frame. just homogenized mechanics with these characters, right? You don't see that nuance. It's just like, oh, hey, I'm pressuring this character. You don't necessarily think that, oh, hey, I'm pressuring this character and oh, well, it's Guy, so I got to use this awkward move to attack him. With this character, I got to use this awkward move to attack him there, blah, blah, blah. This game is just like, oh, he has a drive meter. I got to watch out for his invincible move. I got to watch out for his generic invincible move. I don't have a specific move that counters it because our normals are all homogenized, right? Anyway. Remember, if you like the videos, like, subscribe, comment, share, support the channel if you want. I appreciate it. Thanks. The end.